Hello, Millennium Live listeners. Welcome back to another episode of the Millennium Alliance podcast. I am your host, Connor Toohey, and I'm just so happy to be back for another continuation of our partnership series. And we have a great Millennium partner who's with us, who is helping enterprises innovate in the present while building a better world for the future. I am just thrilled and honored to be able to interview and talk to the founder and CEO of Techolution, an award-winning AI leader, Millennium Alliance keynote speaker, author, Failing Fast, the 10 Secrets to Succeed Faster. And if you've been to one of our recent assemblies, I'm sure you've heard him speak. And if not, we have Luv Tulsidas. He has shared insights on how to harness the AI wave and offered strategies to stay ahead of the competition and shape enterprises for ROI and accelerate innovation of this awesome era of AI. And I want to bring him on. But before I do, just a little bit more about Luv. He's got a great career, and we could probably spend a whole episode just talking about him and his journey. But in 2000, Luv started at he really started out his career at Hertz, where he built the rental car giant's e-commerce platform from zero to billions in revenue in just a few years. And that ability to dream big and do bold drove Luv to start Techolution, and an innovation consulting company that in 2019 won the prestigious award Inc. 500 fastest growing companies. And that's only 4 years after its formation. And 2022, Techolution was honored with the Best in Business title by Inc. for innovation done right, which we'll definitely be talking about today. And most recently, Luv received the AI Iconics trophy for the top AI solution provider of the year at the AI Summit in New York. Really fascinating stuff. And hey, now Luv is here with us on the podcast, hyper focused on growing Techolution to be the most admired brand for enterprise AI transformation. Luv, it's exciting to have you on the podcast. Thank you so much for joining.
Hey, Connor, thank you for having me on. And I must say that I don't think I've ever heard an introduction of myself any better than this. So great job.
Thank you. We'll try to do it at the next assembly then, right? So, I want to start with the good news. Your company just recently won this award for being the best AI solution provider of the year at New York AI Summit. So, congratulations, first of all. And just to bring in your career, could you tell us a little bit about your journey in the field of AI? Everyone's talking about AI now, so I feel like this is the perfect time to bring on the experts. And in that journey, I really want to know what you think is the most important factor that led you to become the best AI solution provider.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. So I'll tell you a little backstage story about the award. Uh, in December of 22, sorry, no, December of 23, just a few months ago, I was invited to give a keynote speech at the AI Summit in New York. And I'm sitting backstage getting ready for my turn to go on stage. And there's this little screen in the back. And, I knew there was this, competition, this award that was going to be given out for AI Solution Provider of the Year. But when I looked at who we were competing against, and I mean, the biggest name in IT consulting and management strategy and whatnot, I was like, we don't stand a chance, right? So the person who was next to me backstage was like, that's you on TV. I'm like, it's not my time yet. She's like, no, you just won the award. I was like, no way, right? So obviously I wasn't expecting it, very ecstatic. But the reason why I think we won the award is because I've been doing AI since 2018. Techolution as a company has been doing AI since 2018. We were not making money back then. Most of our bread and butter was digital transformation, cloud transformation, and all the innovation that was popular at that time. Um, But last year, and I was reflecting on this, why did we not win the award? Or why did we win the award over all of these big brands? Because last year, most people in our industry were acting and playing the role of thought leaders of AI. And it's great to be a thought leader, but what customers are actually looking for today is they're looking for a living leader of AI, almost like if you remember Karate Kid, right? A Mr. Miyagi who's done it before and who can actually teach them the moves and not just tell them what the moves are, right?
Right.
And we've been doing AI. In fact, in 23, we rolled out a whole bunch of real world AI for customers delivering ROI. And I can tell you, it's very difficult to do that. Most people today are getting started. They're still stuck in the lab with AI, giving great demos. And having had the privilege to do that for a couple of years for customers in the real world, I think is what led us to where we are. And what I'm super excited about is the value that we've been able to bring to the world for our customers, and the type of problems that we have been able to solve is very exciting. To answer your other question, what got me into AI? I don't know if you're old
Mm.
enough to remember Knight Rider from the 80s, the series with Michael Knight and Kit. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I do.
Okay.
We won't talk
So
about age though.
no, it's not about age. It's just, it was very popular in the 80s. I grew up watching that. And my son, who's one of my sons who's 17, the oldest one, has no idea what it was. And there's a series on Netflix now, and I had him watch it, and he was like, "Oh, that's pretty cool." They had these kinds of series in the 80s. 80s, I think, was the golden era of TV, in my opinion. But anyways, most people were very impressed with Michael Knight, and he was their role model. For me, it wasn't Michael Knight; it was Kit. I always knew when I grew up, if nobody had built Kit by then, I will be the one building Kit. Took me a while to get there, and I feel like we get to build Kit now for our customers.
You brought up a couple of really great points there, Love, and others that we could have other podcast related content for, but
Yeah, let's do one on Kit and Knight Rider. That would be a great
let's
idea.
do that. Let's do that next. But I do want to talk about a couple of things, but before I want to bring up many business leaders strongly advocate this idea of fail fast, fail often. I want to bring that up because there's so many there's so many executives out there. They're giving their own keynote speeches on this very topic, but you're totally against it. And I mean, you have a whole book that you've written, and we can talk about that too. But why do you feel that this principle of failing fast and failing often is not going to work in the era of AI?
Yeah. So actually, I was inspired by a great book called Zero to One by Peter Thiel, right, where he kind of introduced the idea of not trying to fail fast. And fail fast, fail often works when you're trying to do incremental innovation. And as a company, as a person, actually, I've been doing innovation since day one of my career, right? And when I started my career back in 2000 at Hertz, I was still a senior in college. When I took this full time job, in the early ages of the internet, and I didn't know any better, and I was trying to succeed fast. I went all in, hustled, applied my skills, and my career went like this, right? And I moved up, got to lead teams. We built a platform that was $5 billion, global, all this good stuff. We got to fly the private jet of the company once in a while, but with that comes the requirement to talk to the big management consulting firms. And around this time, this was right after or right in the beginning of the GFC, and people didn't want to take risks. So they were like, okay, do small things, do iterative things, and try to fail fast, fail often, and keep pivoting. And at that time, I didn't know any better. I said, oh, wow, that sounds cool. Right. And some really smart people are saying that. Let me give it a shot. And I genuinely tried to adopt that philosophy, and then my career went from like this to flattening out and maybe kind of take a step back. And I felt there was something off with it, right? I think the spirit of saying, hey, you should take risks, that's great. The spirit of saying, hey, don't overshoot, that's great. But the problem that I have, and I've noticed that because I've been building teams and working on big innovation missions all my career, is that when you start a journey with the expectation to fail, or almost like looking forward to fail, because when you do fail, which is likely to happen with innovation, you don't want to feel hurt. Well, that's a problem. First of all, you're not going to try hard enough. You're not going to think hard enough on how to succeed because the goal is, hey, it's okay, let's fail, right? Now, here's reality. Most people, even executive leaders, do not get to fail again and again. Very few privileged people get that opportunity. So whoever came up with that mantra, maybe it works for them and they're part of the privilege 0.1%. But for the rest of us, you don't get to take big risks again and again and have the flexibility to fail hard again and again. Long story short, now, as a leader of a consulting company who helps enterprises succeed faster, I think from my own experience is a much better way to say, hey, yes, let's take risks. Yes, let's do the right thing. And now most people won't have a choice but to transform with AI. But succeeding faster, the intention should be to succeed faster. And the 10 secrets in this book are basically the 10 secrets that if you followed there are no guarantees in life, but you're going to significantly increase your probability of succeeding faster. And if you do fail, right, because that's still a possibility, right, how you deal with that failure in a way that you genuinely learn from it, and perhaps it doesn't hurt you so much that you're out of the game.
I,
That's
I
effectively a
I like
summary
that
of
theory, man.
what's in this book. Yeah.
Yeah, and don't be worried. Fail fast, fail often. Oh wait, I gotta go catch my private jet. So another thing I wanted to bring up too, by the way, which you mentioned in the first part of this interview, is that as per Forbes, over 90% of enterprises are investing in AI or some type of AI solution. I talk about it all the time on this show, and as you know, Millennium, we have the show. We do so many industries and different types of assemblies. Within that investing, though, only X% of them have made it out of the lab, as you mentioned. What is the number one reason why this is, especially when it comes to AI? And
Mm,
because it's not AI is not new. It's newish in terms of implementation, but it's been around.
right.
But what can enterprises do differently
Right.
to ensure that their AI projects and their initiatives are going to be successful?
Okay. Well, that's a great question. So it's actually less than 1% of AI investments that enterprises are making are actually generating ROI today, right? And what being in my role as the leader of a consulting company that focuses on innovation, specifically AI, in the past year, I can tell you, unlike the previous waves of digital transformation, enterprise leaders, CEOs, boardrooms do not anymore have the appetite for these long, big, multi-year, multi-million dollar transformation with a hope that, hey, we're going to get ROI at some point in 3 to 5 years. They're looking to solve real world problems. And the biggest problems that I see that enterprise leaders are looking to solve is are one is labor shortage, right? I mean, we have had a labor shortage problem for skilled jobs for even I would say many blue collar jobs for years now, and that's gotten worse in this post COVID world. And then inflation, I don't need to tell you. I mean, inflation is insane, right? So business leaders are desperately looking for a solution to manage this and try to get ahead of it. And AI comes in, and that's to answer your other question, AI has been around for a while, right? Now, scientifically, I would say it's not new, but it's nascent, right? Scientifically, there were some big bottlenecks, and we can get into the history and the science of it maybe some other time that prevented it from being able to deliver that value that enterprises are looking for until recently. right? AI has been doing analytics demos for many years, but that's not what the promise that everybody's looking for. They're looking for a next level of profitability while doing more good for their customers. And now that's possible, right? Not everything is possible, but it's definitely more of a possibility than ever. And the reason why you see a lot of failure in the space of AI is because, to start with, I think people are not solving the right problems with AI. There's a lot of things AI can do, but there's also a lot of things it can't do. There's a lot of hype as well, right, on its maturity and what it can do today. So knowing what to do and what not to do in itself is going to determine whether you're going to succeed or fail. Now, if you're big tech, you can take big risks. You've got billions of dollars, fine. But most companies do not have that luxury. That's not their core business. So, that's the number one reason that I see. Number two, not truly understanding how to navigate AI. That's because, traditionally digital transformation, software development. I've been doing in the space of software development, since I was in high school. And I could tell you, when I went on this journey of learning AI and trying to get AI to work, it took me, I would say, a few months, some really smart people who had PhDs in AI, been doing it for years, to get it through my head how different that thinking is, how different the approach is. And most people are trying to approach AI just like they did with traditional software engineering. And that's why it's not working. So in my next book that we're actually currently working on, we're putting together the 5 secrets to leap from lab grade AI to real world AI. And if I may give you a little clue here on something that will help a lot of your viewers, I would say train your AI or build your AI the same way you would train a human apprentice on any job that you may hire them from. Yes, they've been trained in the lab. They came from a reputable university. They have a lot of great book and lab knowledge, but you're not just going to expect them to go out there and do surgery or uh, run your business, do sales for your business, or run this podcast. You would want them to apprentice under an expert that has been doing that job. And eventually, they learn and they become good enough to be autonomous. And it's no different for AI. And I'll leave it to that for now. The rest, I'll leave some element of surprise for the book that I'm writing on AI.
As you should. That's great advice, Love. And that actually brings me to another question about the AI Center of Excellence and just really what is a holistic AI Center of Excellence that's driving support and development and kind of training and best practices, like as you were kind of referring to. Can you kind of dive deeper into this? Because I guarantee you there's some of our members that are probably hearing this for the first time.
Yeah, yeah, great question. The pattern that I'm noticing today is most of the thought leaders who are helping businesses set up an AI center of excellence, which I would say is very important. Every enterprise that's worth their salt, that want to win and navigate this uh, disruptive time with AI should have an AI center of excellence, but a holistic AI center of excellence. But the advisors, the thought leaders, if you look at most of their history, they come from either general management consulting or they do audit, and then IT is just one of their divisions. And a lot of focus has been on what they know best, which is how to manage the risk, right? While frankly, everybody's trying to figure out what it means and how to deal with this. But in the meanwhile, they're saying, hey, don't do all these things, manage the risk, right? Yes, managing risk of AI because it's new, because there are new potential exposures and vulnerabilities that it might expose. Yes, that's important. But I wouldn't say that's the number one thing we should be doing. First, let's do something about it because those who don't will get disrupted. So I think the first pillar of a holistic AI center of excellence should be what to do with AI because not everything can be solved. And picking the right battle at the right time is probably the most important first step. So what to do with AI, very important, right? That should be the first pillar. There should be processes, guidelines on helping your organization decide what to do and what not to do with AI. That's number one. Number two uh, is how to do AI right. Like I said earlier, you cannot approach AI the same way you would approach traditional software engineering. And also, you can't approach AI the same way you did advanced analytics and data science, because those were led by data scientists and machine learning engineers. You need them, right? Because the guts of AI requires them, but that's not enough. Because if it was, you would see a lot of automation, a lot more success with AI today. So how to do AI right? Who should be part of that center of excellence? Product owners, user experience designers, software engineers. Most importantly, the domain experts that AI needs to learn from. So knowing how to do AI right, I think, is the second most important pillar of any uh, holistic AI center of excellence. And the third one is managing the risks. Now that you are doing the right things and you're doing it the right way, yes, you do need to manage the risks so you don't have things coming at you from the left field and it's not game over because you had a breach or data got leaked and all those things that happen to enterprises.
I think I wanted to kind of follow up briefly on the second point you mentioned, Love, because it's so important. That's sometimes the most challenging is how enterprises can find the right AI use case for their business. So how does enterprises go about finding the right AI use case and kind of building off that?
Right. So I think a AI use case should start with, unlike previous digital transformation that's happened in the past, where it's led by tech first. Tech will say, hey, we need to sunset our data centers and move to the cloud, or we need to do this big ERP transformation, or whatever it may be. Now, what I'm seeing, and this is actually really exciting, to be honest with you, as somebody who enjoys solving real problems, not just writing code and doing geeky things, is it's being led by the business. The business is saying, hey, I have a bottleneck here. Either we need to figure out a way to automate this to bring costs down, or automate it because we can't hire enough skilled people, and that's slowing down our business growth. So, how can AI bring value there? I think starts with a real business problem. When solved, it's going to unlock that next potential for your business. And second, the second aspect of it, well, how likely is AI? How mature is the AI to be able to solve that, right? So there's two factors in the equation I think is extremely important. So maybe you've got a problem in your business that if you were to solve for that, it will unlock the next $1 billion of value for your business. Fantastic. Who doesn't want to have an extra $1 billion of value, right? But maybe what you're trying to solve for is something like, I don't know, like let's just say an AI robot that can do surgery, right? The likelihood of it being able to do that in the near term without all of the risks and the problems that come along the way is probably very, very small, right? So that's not a battle you should pick. Maybe it's something you do in the lab you can afford to lose. You have no control on how long that's going to take. But maybe saying, hey, we've got a big bottleneck in quality control of preparing all of the medical devices for the surgery, right? And that right now is a bottleneck because we have staffing shortages in hospitals. There are a lot of mistakes that happen. Could we leverage AI and computer vision to to do a better job at quality control and preparing for that surgery so it's faster? We have the right products, the right medical devices that we need to perform that surgery with less problems. Yes, that's something that AI is a lot more equipped today to be able to solve for, a lot less risky. And maybe instead of $1 billion of value, that's $100 million of value. To start there, right? So finding that balance between what real business problems needs to be solved and what is possible is, I think, where the magic happens in picking the right battles for AI today.
That's great. And one of the things that's fascinating about just technology in general is how fast it moves and how quickly it can evolve. And that's definitely can definitely apply to AI. And just because you've been an expert on this for as long as you have, and you mentioned that Techolution, you could have been you first started with AI. I think it was back in 2018 you might have mentioned, but
Yeah.
how has the approach, and specifically the Techolution's approach to AI, evolved from when you first started, especially in light of the latest advancements in AI to now? I'm sure that journey alone has been quite remarkable.
Yeah, absolutely. But before I answer that question, can I challenge your premise for a second here?
Of course.
Uh, I know it feels like technology is changing too fast and disrupting everything. We have to relearn things every few years. But let's take a look at how fast and effective uh, uh, technological evolution has been from the lens of Hollywood. And I want to go back to the 70s and 80s, right? From movies, Star Trek, Knight Rider, like I mentioned earlier, iRobot, how Hollywood imagined the world would be by 2020. Flying cars, full self-driving cars, interstellar travel. Now you tell me, are we there yet?
No,
No, right?
which is
So,
probably a
so
good thing.
well, it depends, right? It
Depends on how you
depends.
see it.
If I mean, according to Elon Musk, if we were to get hit by an extinction event from a meteor, we better have interstellar travel already, right? Because we got to go somewhere to survive. But um, yeah, that's my point, right? From my perspective, as someone who's been fascinated and dreaming of tech, maybe a big part of it from the lens of Hollywood, as I was growing up in my early days, we're not moving and evolving as fast as we should have been. And for Techolution, I would say what got us into AI is, we were doing very well, winning awards at the time for with cloud transformation, with doing app modernization, I mean, the type of innovation that was needed at the time when I started the business in 2015 and for the next 5 years, right? But I was always inspired and fascinated by Kit and that kind of AI. So I always wanted to take, part of our profits and put it back in R&D and start kind of building the future, planning for the future that frankly I look forward to. I wanted to be that business when we grew up. And in some ways, it was the right time, right place doing this. So we hit some roadblocks early on that we were able to overcome. So we learned a lot of secrets on how to go from lab grade AI, building great demos, to at some point even taking on customer projects that were failing and having to make that leap to deliver real world AI. So when November of 2022, uh, can you guess why November 2022 is going to go down in history for being a great inflection point in the world of AI, in the history of AI? Can you tell me why November of 2022?
Was that the release of ChatGPT
3.5, yeah, because
3.5?
ChatGPT has been around for a while. 3.5,
Yeah.
when they partnered with Microsoft and released it, that was game changing, right? Because companies have needed AI for many years, probably more so since 2000 because of the underlying uh, issues that you have with the economy, labor shortages, and inflation. But they lost faith in AI because there's been so many AI projects that have been tried before that failed. Um, Part of it is because of the science. The science was just not ready. It was a little too early. There's been some amazing breakthroughs, but people didn't want to go back and trying again because they were stuck with lab grade demos. But when ChatGPT dropped and it was able to talk and answer questions like a human, right? And you were able to ask it the same thing in five different ways, and it knew exactly from context what you were talking about and having a conversation. It brought back hope. That's really what it did in the possibility of AI. And people were like, wow, we're a lot closer. Let's go back into it because we need it anyways, right? But fortunately for us, as I remember, I was coming back from the Christmas holiday, this first week of Jan. And, I'm very comfortable. I was very proud of some of the things we did with AI on a smaller scale. And I hear everybody podcasters, news, everybody talking about AI. I'm like, they don't know anything about AI. Why are they talking about it? I thought, oh, ChatGPT, oh, it's a fad. It's going to go away. And every week, this thing is amplifying, getting bigger and bigger. And I was like, all right, if we don't go all in now, we're probably going to miss this zeitgeist. So then by March, I decided we were going to go all in. We were going to be solely focusing on AI. And I rolled up my sleeves and got back to work harder or as hard as I worked in my early 20s. And we basically took the company and following the 10 secrets in my own book to transform our company from being a digital transformation company to an AI, real world AI leader for enterprises. And that was not an easy journey, but honestly, I had so much fun. I had so much fun, you
And
know?
aren't you glad you made that choice?
I'm glad. I'm glad. I'm glad. It is worked very hard, but what can I say? I'm a geek. I love rolling up. The most exciting thing that I did after probably a decade, because I've been in leadership, running a business, finance, sales, all this good stuff that I learned. But when I roll up my sleeves, I thought, oh, how am I going to keep up with these engineers? They're so smart. It's like bicycle, right? You don't really forget. And I realized that um, that's what I love doing, and I really enjoyed it. Even though I was working 7 days, some weeks we were working 20 hours. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and that's important. It's important to have fun along the way. Love, I could probably talk to you for an hour, and we should do more podcasts. We have a podcast about the 80s decade of that is, I probably agree with you in terms of series. 80s was great. 70s, 80s, 90s, you could argue movies, they're all pretty good. Each decade
Yeah.
has its set of great films. Technology as a whole, I would love to pick your brain and just talk with you. Just, I mean, usually you can decide for somebody's age based on the first game console that they had. And I,
Atari.
yeah,
You know what
Atari.
I'm
All
talking
right.
about?
Yeah. Mine was an N64, so I'm sorry, I am a little bit younger. You probably were right about that, and product of the '90s. But hey, it's great to chat with you. Let's do this again sometime. There's probably other areas that we could talk about, and just to briefly just recap too about you, and to learn more just about your just incredible life and career. I know you hustled your way around this tiny paradise island in Africa and then ended up at an engineering university in the US, even without finishing high school. And you can find out more about love and failing fast, that book, which is available on Amazon and other retailers. And as you hinted, Love got a next book working on in the works. Stay tuned for that to hear more about 5 battle-tested secrets to build real world AI to enable businesses to become more profitable in the face of labor shortage and high inflation. A lot of topics that we are speaking about today. Learn more about love on lovtulsidas.com. And of course, if you want to know more about innovation done right, head over to techolution.com. Love Tulsidas, thank you so much for joining the Millennium Alliance podcast. I hope to see you soon, man.
Hey, Connor, thank you for a great show. And I have to say, it wouldn't have been as great if you didn't ask amazing questions. So thank you for that, and see you soon.